Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Let's have a short recap what we have discussed yesterday. Yesterday we are discussing regarding activities, right? How to configure an activity, and we are looking into the DB manipulation steps, right? How to manipulate data on database, correct? We have few things like first. One is like Obj-Browse. Obj-Browse, all Obj methods are data manipulating things. Data manipulating methods. First method is Obj-Browse. One second. First method is Obj-Browse. Obj-Browse is used to fetch multiple records from a database. If you want a multiple records from a database, like based on some condition, like whose actually employee name is something, or who is having some salary greater than on, based on some condition. If you want to fetch multiple records from a database, you will use Obj-Browse. What is an Obj-Open? Obj-Open is used to fetch a single record. For Obj-Open, you need to specify a key for a record, because in a table, how can the system identify which record you are actually looking for? Correct. Correct. You have to mention a primary key for that table that it will actually fetch that particular record. Is this finger still here? Obj-Browse and Obj-Open. Now if you want to modify any record, like if you want to modify any particular record, you have to open that particular record. How actually you will use Obj-Open? Obj-Open, you will use like whenever you are modifying any particular record, you will use Obj-Open. Now, if you are thinking to modify email address of an employee, like there is one employee, you are trying to modify an email address. Now you will open that employee record. You will modify email address and you will click on submit, right? Submit, in essence, you are again saving back to the database. Correct. Whenever you are saving back to the database, you are using Obj-Save. Obj-Save is a method which we will use to save the data back into the database. Let me show you how to configure an Obj-Save. Inside Obj-Save, you have write now and commit. There are two options called write now and commit. After doing Obj-Save, you have to commit it. There is one more method called commit. After doing Obj-Save, you have to use the concommit method, because Obj-Save will save the data into deferred memory. Do you have any idea regarding deferred memory and normal memory, like permanent memory in a database or in a Oracle DB or PGDB? Do you have any idea? Like deferred memory is like a temporary memory. It is also a database memory only, but it is like a temporary memory. It will get saved into deferred memory, means it will get removed, or see like deferred memory is a temporary memory of a database table. If you are only doing Obj-Save, then Obj-Save will save the data into deferred memory. That you have to commit. After doing Obj-Save, you have to commit the changes. Then only the data will get persisted. Let me see. Here we are. See if I expand this obj save. See, we have right now, and obj and commit are same. But if you are using right now, it will take some time to commit the data. People will generally ask you to use a method called commit. We have one method called commit. This commit explicit method is there. Commit method. You have to use this commit method instead of checking this one. You understand what I'm trying to say? Whenever you do obj save, you can use commit method also. Any questions? Obj save and commit. And you have few OB activities also. Like commit with error handling like that. You can use those activities also. Because if you use commit, it will throw one severe warning. Pega has given one OB activity. Commit with error handling. This one commit with error handling. What people will do ideally to reduce the severe warnings, after obj save, they will call this activity commit with error handling. How to call this activity from one activity from another activity? You have to use a method called callWrite. We have already discussed. They will use like call space commit with error handling. Error handling. Understood. Any questions? Not like this they will use. Commit with error handling. We are not going to use this method. Parameters write. Right now with errors only fnew. This right now we will not use. Commit. We can use commit. But people are much more keeping their eye on these severity warnings also. The warnings also, they are keeping an eye to reduce these warnings on what you are using. This one committed. Inside this committed with error handling also, generally they will use a commit method only, but the warning will be present only in this particular rule. See, they will just commit only generally. But what is it? The warning is present here only that you can reuse this activity whenever you like, wherever, if you have some 5 places. Instead of using 5 commits, you will get to 5 severe warnings. Then, instead of using 5 commits, you will use this activity, that you will only have this activities warning. Only one warning. Understood? Got it right? No confusions. And next to what you will be having, you have obj delete. Suppose you have an attachments, you have attached in 5 attachments to a case. Now you need to use this. You have to delete one attachment. You never deleting an attachment. You have to delete the attachment from database, right? Not from the screen. If you want to delete any such kind of scenarios, like if you want to delete a record or if you want to delete any particular attachment. Like attachment is also one record, right? If you want to delete anything from database, you will use obj delete. bj-delete. What is obj-delete? This obj-delete. Here also, you need to mention the step page only. Inside, you will not have much parameters. Step page you have to delete. You like step page, you have to mention like if suppose this step page is having one particular record, right? Like if suppose you have opened the Shanmugh details. Like employee details, step page has the details of Shanmugh. Like what is the name, phone number, everything. Now, if you are deleting that record, you will mention that particular record. It will delete the Shanmugh's record only. Based on the step page only, it will ask, got it right? Can't we delete a group of records? Group of records in the sense you have to delete that only in a loop. You have to loop on this. You have to loop here. You have to loop for each embedded page. You will keep. Click on submit. Now it will expect the page list instead of single page. It will expect a page list. You have to loop on this. Understood. Now what we have discussed till now, like Obj-Browse is to feature records, multiple records. Obj-Open is to open a particular record. Generally, whenever you are opening to modify a record, they will do property set or some manipulation. They will do after that. They will do obj save and they will commit. Now we are discussing similar methods like obj open by handle and obj delete by handle. Same functionality. Obj open by handle and obj open are having same functionality to open a single record. But why two methods? Obj open is expecting table primary key, right? Obj. If you expand this one, this is expecting table's primary key, right? This is a table primary key. It is exporting a primary key. But obj open by handle will expect PZ dynasty. In Pega, every table will be having a column called PZ dynasty. That is for Pega internal processing actually PZ. PZ dynasty is also unique. PZ dynasty also contains a unique values. Apart from primary key Pega, for Pega, every table will have a column called PZ dynasty. This might be sometimes similar to primary key or sometimes it might be combination of 2, 3 columns. Like PZ dynasty can be like this also. 103 free space A and here level event space B like this also. It might be PZ dynasty can be a combination of 2 or 3 values or PZ dynasty can be single value also based on the table. Pega will only create that one. Let me show you the PZ dynasty. If I launch the portal, if you launch the portal, if I open any case, if I open this particular case, let's see what is a PZ dynasty for this case. 8001 is there, right? In a clipboard, it will be there. Let me show you. Open a clipboard on a primary page. What is a primary page? P by work page, right? P by work page. If I click and Ctrl F search for PZ dynasty. See, this is a PZ dynasty. What is a PZ dynasty? PZ dynasty is a combination of here. The PZ dynasty is a combination of your work class and your case ID. You have opened a case A2001. If you have opened a case of A2001, then PZ dynasty will be a copy of, will be a combination of your work class and A10001. like that. Every time PZ dynasty will be a unique value. Sometimes a PZ dynasty will contain a create date time also. You understand? Class case ID space create date time. Like whenever it was like when if you have attached some attachment, it will be like your class some create date time. Like whenever that attachment got attached. Like that, Pega only will create. We can also modify it, but by default the Pega will create. Let's see the PZ dynasty for another table. Customer ID is there. This is a page that this doesn't have. If we have any attachments, then we might see some PZ dynasty. But the basic idea you understood, right? What is a PZ dynasty? PZ dynasty is it is a column which will be created by Pega itself. Actually, that also will have a unique value. Control. Got it right. Any questions, guys? Whenever you are trying to use OBJ-Open by handle. By handle, in the sense it will expect a PGA dynasty of particular record. Instance handle is nothing but PGA dynasty. If you go and see the help here, instance handle is nothing but a PGA dynasty. Similar to OBJ delete by handle also. Ekas PGA dynasty. Let's also expect instance handle. See instance handle. Same method parameters. Instance handle is you have to pass PGA dynasty here. That it will delete that particular record. If you are passing PGA dynasty like this, it will delete the first record or it will open the first record. You understand, based on the availability of the data. If we have PGA dynasty, we will pass the PGA dynasty. If we have the primary key, we will pass the primary key. But the functionality and everything is the same. Would you open my handle it? The instance handle, the handle of instance is unique key in internal format. That is an internal thing, PZR. It is starting with PZ, right? It's an internal property assembled by the system that identifies the instance and Pega rules database. That is actually created by system itself. If you saw this instance handle here, this corresponds to the value of PGA dynasty property of an internal class. Whatever the PGA dynasty is there for that particular table. Like class in the sense table. We need to pass that PGA dynasty key. Any question? Any questions, guys? What is or why we are using OBJ open by handle? In which scenario we will use OBJ open by handle? Which scenario we will use OBJ open? That is all based on availability. If we have class keys available with us. In clipboard, if we have class key, then you will use OBJ open. If we have PGA dynasty key, you will go for OBJ open by handle. But both functionality, both performance, everything is same for opening a particular record. Any questions still here? We can go to the next set of methods, right? OBJ. These are all in the OBJ methods. Delete and open by handle. Delete by handle. These are the 6 important methods. Let's go to the next set of methods. Like some generic methods. There will be some RDB methods. See, these are all for our Pega database, right? Pega database. There are some RDB methods for complex queries and for also external database D methods. There are some RDB delete D. Whenever you are browsing some data from external database, not from a Pega database, some kind of external database, then you have to use this RDB methods. DBO, ddelete. For these RDB methods, and all you have to write the SQL code. If you expand this one, it will expect one SQL parameter. This one. Access is there, right? You have to create one SQL rule. Under SQL rule, you have to give it here. Like you have to write your own custom coding. Like SQL methods and all you have to use. You have to write that one. You have to use this method to retrieve single row. Open right. Open in the sense you will get only single record, whether it may be OBJ or DB. You will get only single record of data from an external relational database. From an external database, connect SQL rule. Connect SQL rule you have to create. Connect SQL rule. Let me show you if you have any connector SQL rule. You have to create connector SQL rule and you have to specify it here. Let me show you how actually connector SQL rule looks like. Let me open in existing. See if you are using RDB open. In the open, you have to write your code. You have to write your own custom code. If you are using RDB delete inside delete, you have to write. For save, you will write in save. See, they have written some SQL code. Like this, you have to write. And if you understand it what I'm trying to say here. If you are using RDB open, you will write this access and all this is. You need to specify that in access. I think access or request type. You need to specify that rule applies to class request type. Here in request type, we have to mention the rule name. Whatever the rule name, it is there right here. The ID is there right this up I update parallel action. This one you have to specify. This is an RDB save, right? This if you specify some different, for suppose if you are specifying RDB save for RDB open, it will throw an error at runtime. It will throw an error at runtime. For RDB open, you need to write your SQL code in open itself here, open itself. You need to write your own custom coding. This is for manipulating data in some external databases. 90% of the times you will not use these rules. Don't worry, you need not write any SQL coding under. This is just for an interview purpose. What is the difference between OBJ and RDB methods? OBJ methods are for internal Pega database manipulations and RDB methods are for actual manipulations. How to configure an RDB methods in the sense you have to create one connect SQL rule. You can see the rule name here. Connect SQL. Connect SQL rule. You have to create. It will be mentioned like open, delete, save and browse. Whatever the method you are using inside an activity, whether it may be open, you have to write your code in open. If you are using delete, you have to write your code inside delete. You understand now? Similar to that, we have a jump condition here. When is like a preconditioning check. Whenever we are going through this particular method, we will go through the when condition like preconditioning. Before executing this method, we will write based on the condition. We will take some action and jump is the post conditioning. Post conditioning means you might ask, why do we require post conditioning check? Yes, suppose if you are calling any integration from here. Suppose there are some integration methods that one will not cover in CSA, but there are some integration methods like connect REST. REST is like REST integration. If you want to call any integrations with external systems, you have this connect to file and all. Suppose you are calling connect REST integration here. After the REST integration was called, you will check on a jump condition whether it is success or not. Whether this REST integration, whatever we are integrating with external third-party system, will be integrating right. First, suppose you were showing any weather information in your system. You are showing weather info. You have to integrate with external system to get that weather information. Whenever you are integrating with other system, and all, you will check the condition here after that. This is a best practice to handle an errors. Also, you suppose that external system might be down. Sometimes the server might be down. After the connectors, you will check that. Whether this is a true, whether this became like a success or not. This integration became success or not. If it is success, you will leave the continuance. If it is success, you will leave the continuance. If it is not success. If it is false, then you will jump to some error handling the methods under how to handle an error, to log a message or to show a message on screen that the system is down or some kind of error message. You will show similar to like an exception. It's like an exception. You will jump to some step. You will need to mention the label here. Jumps. You will mostly use for exception handlings or exception handling or error handling. Or it is called a post condition check, like whenever this step got executed, mostly you will check one condition. And if you saw in Object Open also, you have this locking method. Lock in a sense, like if you are modifying one operator record, like if you are modifying an operator. Suppose if you are modifying this record, a 2001 case is there, right? I have opened this case. I have opened this case. I have opened this case. Now what does that mean is like I have acquired the lock on this case. There is a locking concept in Pega, like locking in the sense like only one operator can modify a particular case at a particular point of time. Suppose at this point of time, this 2001 is in my lock. My lock in the sense that my operator is modifying this particular case. Now, if suppose any other operator is trying to open this particular case, then you will get an error. If you are trying to open this case through Obj-Open also, you will get an error. It will not get an error. It will not get opened. You understood what I am trying to say. Opening in the sense that fetching a details and storing it on a page, right, similar to opening here. Whenever I open here, those details will be fetched and stored in a PV work page on a clipboard, right? If someone check this lock, means they are also trying to acquire the lock on that particular object, like on a particular record. Already the lock is it with other operator. The Obj-Open will fail. Obj-Open will fail. In that conditions also for Obj-Open. Also you will write the jump condition whether the Obj-Open is successful or not. Understood? Locking is a bit like it will take one complete session to explain entire locking. But the basic idea of talking is like only one operator, like only one person can modify one particular record at a given point of time. Two operators cannot modify one particular record at a given point of time. That is not possible. If suppose we are modifying this particular record, this can be taken in the lock that no other operator or no other system, anything cannot modify this particular record. Any question? locking, but this is a very high level locking. I have explained in a very high level. We'll discuss. If we have some time, we'll discuss locking in depth. Any questions, guys? Activities. We have discussed a few methods. Let me write it down. Object, open object, browse object, save object, delete object. Object, open my hand, Joe's pen. Only we have, and what else? We have discussed anything else. Any questions, guys, till now on any methods? This is fine. Right now, we'll complete report definitions. Report definitions is very easy. Report definitions is a we have a report sponsor here in Pega, like if suppose managers will be there or some leads will be there or someone if you want to monitor your business process, like how many cases are getting resolved or how many things are getting completed or how actually if you want to check our operator's performance, like suppose there's an operator called EA, how many cases was he's actually been resolved in a particular time frame. If you want to get some business analytics, like how actually the work is going on, if you want to track those things, people will use the report definitions. Report definitions are used to actually report definitions and Obj-Browse is same. But report definition you have is one particular separate rule form. Report definitions is also used to fetch multiple records. You have a rule here. Report definition. Under reports category only have report definition. If you click on report definition, you will get all the report definitions of this. Let me open one report. Now let me tell you the first thing. What is a report definition? Report definition. Report definition is also used to fetch multiple records from a DB tables, similar to Obj-Browse. The configuration also 6 will be similar to Obj-Browser. If you saw the Obj-Browse, the configuration will be is also the same as Obj-Browser. Only first let's look into the report definitions and we'll see. Then we'll see. Discuss what is the difference between Obj-Browse and report definition. Got it right? Yes, don't confuse that. Obj-Browse and report definitions are both used to fetch multiple records. Got it right till here? Any questions? Let me open the report definition door. You can look how it actually looks like. This is how a report definition looks like. Report definition. First thing in Obj-Browse, what we need to see if you are fetching some kind of records. You need to specify a table name, write table name from which table it has to fetch. Table is nothing but a class. You need to specify from which class it is actually going to fetch the data. Now in Obj-Browse. In Obj-Browse, you will mention the class here. Object class param is there. But in report definition, where do you mention that particular class? System has to know right from which class it has to fetch the data. Where you will mention that particular class. Wherever you have created the report definition, you will be creating a report definition in one class, right? Wherever you have created the report definition, it will fetch the data from that particular class. See, this report definition was created in link-attachment class. This class holds all the attachment details. Whatever the attachments you have attached to your case, those details. Actually, this class has class in this. This table has, you are fetching a data from this particular table, linked dash attachment table. Any questions till now? You understand, right? We need to give the system from which table it has to fetch. In Obj-Browse, there is a separate method parameter. It is asking for a class name here. But in case of report definition on which class you are going to create that rule, that particular class it will use to fetch the data. Till now, it's clear. Next one is, let me repeat it, see. First, let's see only Obj-Browse. What is Obj-Browse? Obj-Browse is to fetch multiple records from a database, correct? Now to fetch multiple records, from which table it has to fetch a multiple records. That table we need to specify to the system, right? Let you go and fetch from such on table. The table is nothing but a class, right? Every class will be mapped to a table. You need to specify a class here, that you are specifying a table name here. Table name is nothing but a class. You are telling the system, you go and fetch the details in this particular class. Class is nothing but table. See, this is an Obj-Browse. Similarly, in report definitions also. Report definition is also used to fetch multiple records. It also has to know right from which class it has to fetch, like which table it has to fetch. But here it is nowhere asking the class name like Obj-Browse. It will not ask for a class name like class param. How do the system know in which class you are creating this rule? If you are creating this report definition rule, if you click on create, it will ask for one class. Right applies to class. If you click on create, see it is asking for a class name. Right applies to class. If you are creating on a work class, it will fetch the records from the work C. If I open this work class, it will fetch the records from this work table. Let me create this one. Work. Already in Essence report definition. If you click on create and open, now you have specified the system that go and fetch the data from this particular class. Class in. This is table. Is it clear? Now in a work table, you will be having some hundreds of columns, like you will be having PID. PID is a case id. You will be having PV status work, which holds the status of a case. You will be having PS dynasty like that. You will be having some hundreds of columns. You need to specify what columns you require, like what data you are fetching. You have to know, right? Suppose a manager wants to know how many cases were created. What is the status of a case? Who is working on that particular case? 3 details. He wants to know how many cases were like. He wants to see the total cases, like cases in this case, id, right? Case id will be stored in PyId. You will give PyId. Next one is, what is the status of that particular case, like whether it was resolved or whether it is in new. What is the status of that particular case? A status will be held in a property by status work. These things you will be getting by practice, by status work. Why it is not coming? Actually, it has to come in the drop down by status work. Now manager wants to see who is currently working on it. One like who has created or who has created this particular case. He wants to know. You have one more property called .px, create pre-create operator. At what time? If you want to know, you have px create date time, also like at what time he has created it. Create operator. You are fetching these three records from this particular work table. Similar to Obj-Browser. If you save it, let's save it. Let's save it and let me run this report definition. Let's see how the results are coming. You can run the report definitions from here actions and you can click on run. It will run a query DB query. It will run scroll query in the background and it will fetch the records. For you see, we have created these cases till now. You can see who has created. I have created. I have logged in as author, right? I have created and you can see the status, work status. This is the status. You understand any questions? Know how to configure a report definition. Report definition is also similar to Obj-Browse. Only in Obj-Browse where you are giving these columns, what columns you require. You are giving these columns in the below, right? Here you are giving C. Here you are specifying like what columns you require, employee salary and employee name. You are telling these columns I require. You are giving in the below. Similar to this Obj-Browse only. You are giving here what columns you require. You are giving it here. Got it? Or do you want me to explain one more time? One more time. Now see report. Definitions are used to fetch multiple records. First thing, multiple records from a DB table. You are specifying a table using the class till here. Is that clear? Yes, now in a table you will be having many columns, right? Suppose this is an employee info table. This table will be having many columns. If you want to fetch two particular data like employee ed and employee salary, you need to specify these things, right? Similarly, I have specified here, I have specified a case id. I need to get case id. How many cases were created? What is the status of a case id? Who has created that case? Those properties I have mentioned here. That's it to fetch. Now if you want to see PJ Dynasc is for that case, like what is the PJ Dynasc is? For each case you will specify PJ Dynasc column name, like PJ Dynasc property here, PJ Dynasc, right? PJ Dynasc. I'll specify. Just save it now. Click on actions. Click on actions. Click on run. It will build and scroll query in the background. It will fetch the records and it will show. You see, this is the PJ Dynasc for each and every case. You understand what I'm trying to got it right? Yes, now you have filtering conditions, filtering capabilities also similar to Obj-Browse. In Obj-Browse, you are filtering it here itself. Like you are filtering it. Employee salary is greater than some value you are giving directly here. Filtering also, you're doing here only, but in case of report definition, you have a separate column like edit filters. Before you are giving specifying edit columns, what columns you need to fetch below, you are giving edit filters. What are the filtering conditions? Suppose you need to look into the cases which were actually pending. You have two cases, right? Which is pending fulfillment, right? Two cases you have. Now manager is wanting to see how many cases are pending actually. You will write a filter condition like pending is. Pending is with work, right? Work status. Work status in the sense post status work. This property pending post status, work post status, work relationship. Contains. Contain. I will give contains. Is there right? I think it should. Contains previous status. Work contains quotations. Pending means. What if the status contains pending anywhere, like in the prefix or suffix in the middle? Whatever it may be, if its status contains pending, it will display all those results. You have saved it. Now, if you saw, here you are getting these records. You are getting 5 records as a result, like some 5 records. Now, if I run it, I should get only 2 records because I filtering the records actions. See, I have got only 2 records. You can see the heading filtered by work, status contains pending. Got. Any question? Filtering. Do you want me to explain one more time? You are fetching the data here, like some records. You are fetching from database right now. If you want to visualize only some particular cases which were pending or some data you need to, you are filtering it actually based on some conditions, and all you have to specify here that conditions you have to specify here. Edit filters. It's like a where condition, like what we put in. Similar to it is. It's actually exactly like. It's like a where condition only. In a background, what report definition will do? Report definition will generate one scroll code. If you trace it, you can able to find it. Like it will generate an scroll code in a scroll code. It would do and where condition only where PV status for contains pending. It will filter the records with this filter. How you can specify n number of filters here. And you can write your complex condition here, like whether it's the and conditions or are conditions. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yes, but what is the difference between report definitions and Obj-Browse? Obj-Browse also. You can do the same, right? Obj-Browse also. You can actually do the filtering here. You can actually fetch the multiple reports. You can specify max records here. Here also you can specify max records somewhere here in some report viewer, or somewhere you can specify max reports. You can specify max reports. You can specify max reports. Actually, I couldn't remember where. But you understand it what I'm trying to say. Everything is same. Then why do you require 2 rules like 2 methods? You can use Obj-Browse only by. Pega has given separate rule form for report definitions. One main difference is like joins in scroll joining 2 tables. If you want to fetch the data from 2 different tables, like suppose you have 2 tables in a DB, employee info, and this table, another table like this, contains employee email, but this table doesn't have employee email. Now, if you want to fetch the data like employee name and employee email, now it is not possible to do that with Obj-Browse. Using Obj-Browse, you cannot do class joins like class joins in the sense table joins. You cannot fetch data from multiple tables. Two tables. You cannot fix the data or 3 tables but report definitions. You have an ability to fetch the data from 1 or more table, like if you go to this data access tab. This tab is there in data access. You click on data access. You have class joins here. You see class joins. If you click on class join, it will ask some prefix. Prefix is some APC kind of thing. It will ask for next table name. Class name is nothing but table name. Write which table you are joining with. It is asking for which table to join with. Suppose if I'm giving some work table, go work table I'm giving, it will ask for join type. If you remember, in school you have a joint types like a inner joint, outer joint, left inner joint. Like that you will be having, right, some kind of joint type. It will be asking you here, you just give. Only include materials or based on your requirement, you can give. This is not that important. What you are doing? You are specifying some kind of class here. Actually, these two classes must be different. I'm giving same class here, but it has to be. Let me give another class link attachment or and 8 work basket. This is one class in Pega CSA work basket. Sandwich work basket is one class. Now this class is mapped to a different table, and the class which we have created, the rule, is mapped to a different table. Two different tables. Now you are trying to join these two tables to fit. Like you are trying to club these two tables to fetch in one class. Now to do a join. What should you have to do? A join. You have to have one common column between two tables, right? Yes, based on that common column only, it will fetch now for these two tables. What is the common column? Common column might be employee name or employee number, like employee id. We will can join these two tables. Right? Based on that common column, you can join these two tables. Similarly, Pega also joins these two tables. If you click on edit conditions, it will by default map the common key, like in a table, the pxref object key. This is one property that this one column is the same as Pes dynasty. It is by default mapping the common columns. You need not specify anything. You just need to give the another table name. Here it will map the common columns. Oh, you're getting Shanmukh and Chitan any kind. Sure. Yes, you know. Like, what I'm trying to say is like the difference between Obj-Browse and Obj-like and report definition is like, report definition can fix the data from multiple tables, one or more table. How it will fit? It will join the tables, join in a sense. To join anything, you have to get one common reference. Column right. One common column has to be there between two tables. Based on that column table, like based on that column, it will join two tables. Now how it will do in Pega is like in a in. Actually in school you have to write your own code. But in Pega this is one class and you have to specify one more class here. What class you are joining with. Pega itself will take the common column based on those two tables. Pega itself will take common column based on the two tables. Now you have joined these two tables work and assigned dash work basket. Suppose this is a work table. Let's assume this is a work table. Let's assume there are multiple common columns. It will join automatically. All the columns like employee id is there in both tables. Employee name is there and it will be default. Pega will give first preference to Pzin's keys only. It will try to map using Pzin's keys only. If it is not there, then it will try to fetch from another columns. That Pzin's key is the inbuilt Pega some unique id right unique identifier. Correct Pega's unique identified. It will try to map here. Also, if you saw it, it is trying to map with pizza dinsk only. You need not much bother about the mapping of the but the joining. It will take care. System will take care. Now you have two columns like two tables. One table is work table and another table is seen work basket table. Now if you want to fetch employee email is present in send work basket, not in work table, right? You have joined these two tables now and you have specified send work basket as a send work basket. Yes, you have mentioned it here, prefix. In school you will write something like yes or alias. You have one keyword, right? Yes, similar to that. You are actually using the prefix here. Now how we will write the query in query? You will. System has to understand right from which table you are fetching. It will. You will write like a dot. Now how we will fetch the data from another table? You will use this dot keyword because whatever prefix you are giving here now, the system will understand in the sense the table, whatever the joint table is there, that particular table is a dot. If you click on down arrow, you will get all the assigned. See, you will get work basket related properties here. See work basket add because you have joined with assign dash work basket class, right? You will get some work basket related properties. You understand. Yes, now here not only one table. You can actually map to two tables, 3 tables based on your requirements. You can click on class, and this is one main difference between Obj-Browse and report definition. You know visual browse, you cannot join two tables. But in report definition, you have an ability to join two tables. Now, another difference is the data representation. If you want to view this reports in the sense the data analytics rate. How many cases are there? How many people has actually resolved that kind of data? Now the business is asking like, I want this data representation in form of some charts or pie diagrams or something. You understand what I'm trying to say? Business is asking like, I need to look into the data based on some pie charts or some graphs, bar diagrams like that. Those things you have to if you want to configure those things. One of the properties like might be P by it or P by status. Any one of the properties must be present in a form of count summarize. Is there right? If you keep count, then only this chart tab will be enabled. If you see the chart tab, see include chart game. If you keep this as a blank, this chart tab will not be there. This will be, you must save the report with at least one aggregated numeric column. If suppose there is a requirement to represent the data in the form of any chart, pie diagram, any bar diagram, any graph, you can use report definition and you can represent the data. You can keep any one of the property as count. You can go to chart. You can include your chart. Click on include chart. You will see how Pega has given many inbuilt functions. See pie chart, vertical charts, horizontal charts, some kind of. You suppose you are adding this one donut expert again. You have many types in this one. Stack it 100. You have again many different kind of data representations here. Now, if suppose I was giving this a normal chart, here you will get this one. You need to give it like similar to x-axis and y-axis, what we used to do in our mathematics and all x and y-axis. You will give rate sum to x-axis one property, y-axis one property. You remember? Yes, now you will map this one. You drag and drop here, axis one property. If you are looking case status and work items, work status. If you are dragging and dropping You have to drag and drop. Let me drag and drop. I think it is not scrolling down. Let me do more. And type it to work status, your work status. Now you have added KSID in one column and work status in one column. If you save and if you run now, if you run this repo definition, you will get a data visualization not in a form of table. You will get this data representation in a form of this pie diagram. No data to display. In this sense, we have defined something wrong. You have defined something wrong, but a basic idea. You have understood right what we are trying to do. It charts for actually representing a data in the form of this pie diagrams and charts. You will use this thing. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.